Hi everyone, my name is Sylvie and I'm a PN certified nutrition coach, and I love to share everything that concerns nutrition, fitness and health with you guys. So today we're going to talk about fat loss hacks. Yes, a lot of us unfortunately fall into this trap. So let's talk about that. But before, don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the little bell beside it so you can make sure not to miss my next video. Now, let's start with this subject. Now, fat loss hacks and why you don't need them. There's an easier way, more effective to get lasting results. There are no legitimate fat loss hacks. That's because obesity isn't a simple hackable problem. There are many interconnected factors such as physical, psychological, social, environmental, emotional that influence our ability to eat less and move more. And the magnitude of each factor can vary from any given individual. Here are a few just for an example. Now, here's the ironic part. Most diet hacks, fast fixes, and easy solutions make fat loss even harder than it needs to be. These approaches often promote overly restrictive and unnecessary rules that eliminate carbs or sugar, demonize fat or meat, moralize food choices, encourage or require dietary perfection, emphasize what's theoretically optimal over what's practical. This isn't to suggest food and exercise choices don't matter, but rather to say, compared to most fat loss hacks, you can enjoy greater flexibility in what you eat and how you exercise, and still get lasting results. There's no doubt many people who struggle with weight control eat too many carbs and too much fat. But is this an indictment of the carbs themselves or the sources of those carbs? Consider this data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. Based on this research, nearly 1/4 of the average North American's calorie intake comes from desserts, candy, snacks, and sugar drinks. That's a good chunk of daily calories. These foods aren't on anyone's recommended eating list, but as you can probably see, drastically cut carbs or even sugar and you'll automatically eliminate most of these junk foods. And importantly, lots of calories from both carbs and fats. This leads to a popular claim: when you give up carbs, you stop craving junk food, making it easier to lose fat. Which indeed may be true. But is this because you've eliminated the carbs or because you've eliminated the junk food? Here in the following picture, you'll note the delicious foods we can't resist. In a recent study, University of Michigan researchers looked at the addictive qualities of common foods. This chart shows the 10 foods that people are most likely to rate as problematic. Whether you restrict carbs or fat, 9 out of 10 of these foods would be off limits, or at least significantly reduced. Note that all but one, which is cheese, are ultra-processed foods and most contain some combination of sugar, fat, and salt. This ingredient combo makes these foods hyperpalatable or so delicious they're hard to stop eating. Food manufacturers engineer them to be this way. Now, consider what foods are especially problematic for you and what do they have in common. Typically, minimally processed whole foods like vegetable, fruit, beans, and whole grains aren't high on many people's problem lists. We simply don't tend to overeat these foods consistently. Yet, There are fat loss hacks that tell you to avoid fruits, never eat a starchy vegetable, and avoid beans and grains of any kind. When exactly these foods become the problem? How about the nutritious food we aren't eating? Public health officials have long advised we eat more vegetables, fruit, legumes, and whole grains. But these recommendations have come under fire for not working, because collectively we've gotten fatter despite them. The argument from certain camps is it's the fault of these healthy foods. Is that the case though? Or is it because people are eating other ultra-processed, hyper-palatable foods instead? Let's take a closer look at the recommended health foods, starting with whole grains, since they're often particularly vilified. Given this data, you can certainly argue people eat too many refined, ultra-processed grains. But whole grains, comparatively speaking, people still aren't eating them. Now, the same is true also for fruits. Just look at those charts. And vegetables. Legumes. The reality is this: when looking to improve their diet, most people focus on subtraction. They might say, I'm giving up on sugar, or I'm cutting out junk food. The trouble is, there's often no plan for what they'll eat instead. This can lead to feelings of deprivation and diet dissatisfaction. That's why it can help to start with addition. Eat more veggies, fruits, whole grains, and legumes. Eat more lean protein. This add-first strategy can be highly effective at crowding out ultra-processed, hyper-palatable foods. Besides getting more nutritious foods into your diet, something else often happens when you add first. You automatically eat less. You'll undoubtedly find that adding first is far easier than overhauling your diet instantly. And if it's not working for you, you always have the option to subtract. But the best part, it doesn't require perfection to drive meaningful results. Now, consider, if the basics are too hard, what can you expect from an approach that restricts even more foods or advises immediate and dramatic changes to what they're doing now? Now, focus on just one new daily practice at a time. Do that for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. The idea is to choose a daily practice that helps you make positive progress no matter how small. You could start with the fundamentals, selecting one of these options. Get enough high-quality protein, or eat lots of produce, or emphasize minimally processed whole foods, or eat slowly until satisfied. If you're accustomed to appealing ads that promise six-pack abs in 6 weeks, or a bikini body in 30 days, or your previous fat loss experience have made you feel deprived and miserable and often like a failure, these two factors are closely related in case you haven't made the connection. Because of this, it's normal to feel uncomfortable by the long duration of behavior change, the lack of detailed eating plan, or the idea of making just one easy change at a time. If that's the case, we'd simply ask, how did the alternative work for you in the past? It may be time for a new approach, one that helps you transform your eating and lifestyle habits in a way that takes the full complexity of fat loss in your whole life into account, so that you're not miserable and you don't feel deprived. Now, do you want to know more about PN's nutrition approach? Reach out to me and I will give you all the details to get started losing weight, keeping it off, and get you feeling fit, strong for life. It's a lifestyle, it's not a passing trend. I offer different nutrition plan and fitness plan that can meet your budget and also your availability. So don't hesitate to get back to me. Also, if you like this video and the value that it brings you, kindly subscribe to my channel and click the bell button so you can be notified of my next videos. Until then, I wish you a super nice day and maybe I'll have the pleasure of working with you. Take care now, stay safe.